Hi, everybody. So, Lisa and I are here together again, and we're going to talk about how we're quantum. And I think this is very relevant to right now. We just did another video, and that will be up on Rumble. So, if you want to go see some information about how you're quantum and what you can do to assist other members of humanity in Florida right now, I would go look at that. But um, we are quantum in so many ways. So the body is made of energy. So it's light slowed down, and that's been proven. So tell me some of your ideas about quantum, Lisa.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You know what? I was just relaying this story. As a little girl, I daydreamed a lot. I used my imagination constantly. I was always out of my body because I never felt comfortable. Things never felt safe for me. And what I realized is that having that skill has served me well as an adult because I use my imagination. And that's what people like, I'm not a healer. Could you please teach me how to be a healer? I don't know how to do this. It literally is using your thoughts. You have to be aware of what your unconscious beliefs are. You also have to be aware of what your real, what your intention is behind something, because a lot of people are attached to being ill or, certain things. But it's important to clear out when you're doing this. So if you have wounds and shadows that are still up in front of you, it's going to be a little harder. So that's important work for you to do. And Honey and I both do that kind of work to help people. But I will tell you, when you're clear and you just visualize, it makes such a difference. Like I was talking to Honey in the earlier video about visualizing the hurricane going counterclockwise and slowing it down.
Mhm.
And I kept doing that over and over again and just sending love. And then the news was getting me to doubt myself because it was getting me nervous because I have friends down there and I'm really worried about them. And so the news was amping me up, getting me nervous, and then I just found out that what I was told about certain things that are going on was not true. I saw a video of people being evacuated from the airport, and my friend is actually flying out today. So it's
Yeah.
so use your imagination and come from your heart. You want
Yeah.
to believe it. You want to believe it at a deep level.
Mhm. And release it as you do. And go watch that video if you're interested in working on that today. So I'll put this out right away. But remembering how we're quantum, because thoughts become things, which you just illustrated there, thoughts become things. So when you write them down, they become more solid. But our thoughts that we're thinking in our head, they go directly into our subconscious. When we're watching a movie and it's negative, it goes right into our subconscious unless we say, no, I don't agree to that. Or unless we go into it with the attitude of, this is fake, this is a movie. So if you don't want to pull something into your subconscious, you need to remember to consciously say no to what it is. And I would encourage people, unless they actually need to be seeing things that are maybe not in the highest good of others today, to not be watching things that are not in the highest good of others. So we're doing a lot of healing work with quantum, and quantum is light and it's energy. And I want to show you guys some pictures because I think that we forget who we really are. So this is who you really are. You're this being. Now we're little pieces of God, right? We're God experiencing itself in a body. And all of us get to funnel all of our information back to God source. And we're basically in it, at all times. We're in it. That is what the plasma is. If you think about it, it is God. So, what is God doing? God is experiencing and creating and learning and expanding. So, what are some of these things that we are really doing? And are we consciously thinking about what we're doing? That's probably my biggest question is how can we consciously be more and more aware of what we're doing? I
And
just
it's
realized,
not,
yeah.
yeah, it's not just our thoughts, it's what
Mhm.
we watch. Because I will tell you, as someone who studied the unconscious mind, like scary movies, like all of those scary movies, you are doing the same thing to your brain and your psyche as if you were actually experiencing it yourself. Your unconscious mind does not know the difference between reality, a dream, and a movie. It's like why you wake up in the middle of the night with from a nightmare and your body shakes. It's because it thinks it's real. Your body is reacting. So it's very important to stay light, watch comedies, and not get sucked in. And I'm guilty of it. I was sucked in earlier and just saw something that wasn't true. But be aware of your thoughts. And if you find yourself constantly going to the negative, like a lot of people will go in and say, go to the worst case scenario all the time.
Mhm.
You want to look at why am I doing that? What is that self-talk and why am I putting myself down, putting other people down? What is that belief that you have that you feel the need to do that? And when I find people around me who are doing that, I need to be away from them.
Yeah.
When someone's in a bad mood and they're around me, I have a roommate and we joke around and I always say, "Hello, Miss Krabby Pants, what's up today?" And she just starts laughing and I make it humorous because I don't want to yell at her, give her a hard time. She's just feeling that way. But
Mhm.
I also try to lighten the mood and she cracks up and she loves it. So use humor when you can and try and shift your thought process and try and figure out where is this coming from? Was this how your parents spoke to you? Was
Yeah.
this something that you were raised in that was always worst case scenario? Everything's bad, or people are bad, or money is bad, the doom and gloom. If you're conditioned with that, it's something to really look at and release.
Yeah. It really is so important to love you, love yourself, and to let go of all the stuff that is keeping you from loving yourself. And that includes your body, because your body is your car while you're here. It's your spaceship, it's your vehicle, it's your vessel. And I think the whole idea of thinking that the body is a meat suit was a really that was a thought form that was planted to basically not help people at all.
No.
And yeah, so making friends with your body, loving your body, caring for your body and your human psyche, as well as your soul, all that stuff's like so important right now because we are the ones creating everything here. You're
Yeah.
creating your own life and your own reality, but you're also helping the collective create.
Yeah, and here's something that I hope is helpful. First of all, I have a friend who used to say when that she'd be arrested for assault and battery if a police officer heard what she said to herself in the morning when she looked in the mirror. I mean, we can pick ourselves apart, being on Zoom all day long, it's like, "Oh, there's another wrinkle." And I'm like, I
Mhm.
earn these laugh lines, I'm almost 62. I'm like, not bad for 62. I turn it around. But here's something else is there's so much talk about our food, our cosmetics, and everything that's being poisoned. Well, if you believe that you're putting poison in you and on you, then you are. So I invite you to pray. Like what I do is I have a ritual before every meal, I'll be out to dinner and I'll put my hands over my food and I will thank that food, and I thank this expression of nature and I ask it to be in tune with my body, my frequency, and I raise it and I imagine it going into my body because now it's equal to my frequency. Or I can ask it to go higher to raise my body. There's a lot of different things you can do. I also, if you're a Reiki practitioner or an energy practitioner, feed your food, feed your products. So when someone says to me, oh, that's toxic, you don't know where that came from, I'm like, I'm not going to go into fear. I'm going to pray over it, raise the frequency and vibration, and let it go. Because the more fear you go into, the lower your vibration. And for those of you, if you know, there's a map of consciousness that was created, and
Mhm,
it's Dr. David Hawkins, and 1,000 and above is enlightenment. The lowest one is shame. It's 20. I don't know what's below 20. Zero would be the lowest, but on the scale, 20 is shame. We shame
mhm,
ourselves all day long. We take on the shame of others. I always say to people, there are people who walk around as shame buckets. So they take on other people's shame and walk around with this heavy weight on them. That is not for you to take on. Give them their
mhm.
pain back, give them everything back, and you take your power back. Because you walking around with someone else's shame is not helping anyone. It's
No,
not.
it's not. And also just love them unconditionally. That is a thing that we forget to do. We don't love ourselves unconditionally because guess what? The oneness that is God source loves us unconditionally. Even if we've done something extraordinarily negative, because it's part of learning. And we're moving out of that really big polarity of positive, negative, and we're moving into love. So getting over all of that worry about this person did that, I did this, and not forgiving yourself is a massive thing. And that's one of the things that we practice. And we'll put our link below. But the forgiveness factor is huge. And there's a fly in here. We really need to think about that. Have you gone to the depths of yourself and forgiven yourself for some of the things that you may not be proud of? Because not only do you need to forgive your soul, but you also need to forgive your inner child, and your inner child needs to forgive your soul. So there's all these factors going on.
Here's something that I talk to people about that always makes them think twice. What if you contracted for these things to happen? What
Mhm,
if before you came in, you chose that you were going to cause harm to someone for their soul's growth, that you both had an agreement? Would you be punished by God for that? So when things happen or someone does something, I always say, what has this person just done for me, not to me? Because I don't want to be in victim. I spent a lot of time in victim. I know it well. It's not pretty. And when I finally started to realize that people were doing things for me to prepare me for other times in my life when I needed those skills, when I needed to be stronger. And so now I thank them and bless them. So when
mhm,
I go into that place, I go into a place of forgiveness, not thanking them for what they did to me because it's not okay what happened in my human form, but it's about letting go so I don't carry it. And by letting go of it, it frees everything up. And I use this metaphor of a highway. And when we are angry and when we have resentment, we're literally putting boulders in our way and we are blocking ourselves. I tried for 15 years to write a book. And when I forgave two people, two significant people in my life who hurt me badly, I have people who are angry at me for forgiving them. And I forgave them. And then the title to my book came, and I wrote my book, and it went bestseller in a week. So these are the kinds of miracles that can happen when you agree to forgive. And it's not forgiving here.
Mhm.
Because when I ask someone, did you forgive them? I forgave them. No, you didn't. If you're still being triggered by them, you did not forgive them because forgiveness is neutral. It's
Mhm.
gone. It's not there anymore. So if you still feel anger and you still feel resentment, and when you think about them, you have not forgiven them.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's about getting into the deep spaces that are within your own consciousness. And it's something that I learned how to do a while ago, but I was doing it for myself. And now I'm helping others do it. And Lisa is helping others do it. And we're also doing it together. And anything you can do for yourself that is going to help clear things out that have been holding you back, that's self love. So, whatever you can do to love yourself that feels good, that is bringing you into new spaces and allowing you to actually change versus stay in a rut, it's really like changing everything for you. And it's changing things for humanity at the same time because you guys are really evolved in comparison to some that are still not clued into this. Like you're pretty clued in comparison to some who are taking longer. And you know who they are, like you may have them in your house. Maybe they're taking longer to get there, but that doesn't mean that their journey shouldn't be honored. It's totally to be honored, but also what are you doing to continue your own journey? So just kind of thinking about those things, I feel like is really helpful because all of us old souls, we came here with a lot of knowledge.
Right.
So uncovering it is a big thing.
And here's the other part. Your thoughts, when you don't release and when you don't clear, it manifests in your physical body.
Mhm.
And so, and I'll give you an example. Years ago, my best friend passed away, and she had hidden that she was an alcoholic. And I was asked to speak at the do the eulogy. On my way home, my left eye was bright red. So much so that the person sitting next to me in the airplane was like, "Do you realize your eye is bright red?" So I looked up the meaning of that and it said, "What is it you don't want to see? What is it you don't want to know?" And I was holding on to a tremendous amount of grief and guilt because I thought that I could have maybe helped her if I had known. And so the holding on to those emotions created this physical issue. It took me 3 days of clearing and getting rid of my guilt and getting rid of my sadness and grief. And it cleared up. I didn't have to go to the doctor. And so we can have issues in our physical body that are related to an event that may have be 20, 30 years old that's manifested because we haven't dealt with the emotions of it. And by
Mhm.
clearing all that out, and that's why these quantum healings that Honey and I are doing are so powerful. And I'm finding even when I do them with Honey, because I do them individually, but when I do them with Honey, the past couple, I'm like, damn, I'm sick again. But my
Yeah.
old wounds were upper respiratory my whole childhood, up through a couple of years ago, where I was having chronic ear, sinus, and bronchitis. And then they stopped. And then when I started doing these healings, all of a sudden I'm down again. I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on? It's still clearing. So you might have some physical stuff come up, but it was brief. Whereas before I would end up with 103 fever, antibiotics, and out, down and out for a week or two. It was 2 days, 3 days. And I'm like, that was pretty cool to get. and I feel different afterwards. And not everyone has those kinds of experience. Some people just go into euphoria. Some people might have stomach disruption a little bit or a headache, and then it goes away. It doesn't last long.
Hmm. Well, and it's cellular memory
Right,
release.
right.
So I had a friend who we used to drink Kangen water, and Kangen water is like a special electrified single file aligned water, right? Very expensive machine. So she got me into it and she was drinking it. And what it does is it clears the cell. So the cells get kind of gunky, kind of hard, actually. And the cells begin to soften and they begin to allow liquid, the right kind of liquid, into them again. And as that happens, it clears things. So she started to remember some really intense things from her childhood that she had blocked out.
Wow.
So we're clearing things as we go. And that's why we only do one thing at a time, because we don't want to overwhelm the body, because the body is how we're here.
Right.
Like, you could be here without your body, but you couldn't interact with the people that have bodies at this point. So it really does help to have one and to be here on this earth participating with what we're all doing, which is we are changing the human existence. We're changing the body and we're elevating the consciousness. So that's why the body's changing, the DNA is reconnecting and reactivating. And the cellular structure, like, there's things in the body that used to be in different places. And now we're in a new timeline and kidneys are in a different place in the body that I knew of. The heart has moved to the center of the body. Like, there are things that I was like, what? you know, but that is because we are moving through all this old stuff and we don't need things to be as disconnected anymore. And I'm glad that the heart is in the center of the body now and not off to the left,
So
which is what
is this going to be like the Mandela effect where we're going to look at books and it's going to show the heart is in the center now? We're going to be like, wait a minute, I was taught that it was on the left side.
yeah, yeah, I've seen it. I've seen documentation on it, on the internet that, oh, this is where the heart's located. This is, so this is just like the people that passed away 10 years ago and now all of a sudden they're passing away again. Like, we're in a constantly restructuring environment right now and our bodies are restructuring. So as you're clearing away the old stuff that no longer serves you, your body is becoming happier and healthier as we go. So it's kind of an amazing time. And I think that quantum healing is so much easier than it ever was. But as we go through the process, like, I love to see how it's helping people.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
try as much as you can to let go of your story.
Hmm.
One of the things that I find when people want a healing, I'll get an email that has like 30 paragraphs. It just goes on and on and on and on. And I'm like, I don't need to know that much, to help people, just basics. And then when you're releasing that, then you have to let go that that's no longer who you are. So it's really to be important. It's important when you ask someone, who are you? And they start in with their story, that's going to hold them back because every day you're reinventing. Like you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh, I'm going to be happy today. Or you might wake up and you're like, I feel like I'm going to cry for a couple hours. I need that, to get that out of my system. One of the things that helped me a lot was when I went through my divorce was I lost Christmas. right? And even though my kids were grown, I was the one who did everything. And all of a sudden the holiday was gone because that was Scott's holiday and I got Thanksgiving. And one day I was like, well, it's just a day. Like I reframed it for myself. It's a day that I've given meaning. If I take the meaning away around my children and then make it a different day and give that meaning, what's the difference? So we create our own reality. And when you give each day meaning, give it something special that's really meaningful to you. And when someone starts to get complain and go into a negative space about it, first thing I do is reframe. What is the gift in this? What is this showing me? What is the lesson in this? It'll change everything. And it wasn't always like this, but I found that just reframing your situation, if you have to write it down until you finally learn how to do it quickly, write it down and then say, what is it good that this did for me? And then write that down and reprogram your thoughts because you have these neuropeptides that go out from your brain and attach to your cells. So your body is constantly regenerating, and those cells are attached to all your organs, all your chakras, everything. So when you change your mindset, you're going to change your physical body.
Yeah, absolutely. And every single cell in your body has been replaced every 7 years. So we really don't have to age at all.
Yeah.
So that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, I saw this whole thing was that Elon Musk was saying that, why are people celebrating their birthdays? You're literally adding on a year every year and then your body's aging it. And I was like, what? That was fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah. He's been bringing up a lot of stuff about programming.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyway, I'm glad we got to have this chat about quantum and remembering that you're quantum, like you're made of light, your body is made of light, it's just slowed down. And also remembering that you're carrying a human consciousness and a soul inside this body. And how amazing is that? So we have not had a soul that's totally downloaded into the body until now. And this soul is our guide to take us through ascension. So just remember what a beautiful time this is, even as we go through a lot of the release of trauma, which is not that beautiful for all the timelines. And think about where you want to be. Where do you want your emotion to be right now?
So before we go, I just want to remind everyone, for those people who are interested in the quantum healing, Honey and I are going to do one on October 25th. And we're offering two times. And please check the time zones because we don't want to have anyone have any problems. But was it 12 o'clock Eastern and 4 o'clock Eastern time? I think. We'll double check.
Yeah, I don't want to swear to that because it may be 11 and 4. But
Okay.
whatever, we have the world clock link on there. So, you will be able to figure out when
Yeah.
it is. And also remembering that if you can't attend, we do have it up for a certain amount of time in the library for you to actually participate in it too.
Right.
But this has been such a beautiful project that we've been doing together, and I really appreciate it. And I appreciate having Lisa as a friend and that we're doing this stuff together because that's kind of how things are going to work in the future. We're going to be doing things not all by ourselves all the time. We are going to be doing things with our soul group in the future and other soul groups. So people that we can basically be on the same vibration with.
No,
Yeah.
I'm grateful too. And honey, it's been such a pleasure and an honor. And I've been doing this work for 25 years, and I think every single conversation I have with her, I learn something. And she does a really nice job of grounding me and reminding me of where I need to be. So I so appreciate you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you too. This has been so much fun. So we hope to see you there, and we hope that you're having a really good experience through this time and taking really good care of yourself.
Yes,
Okay,
please.
thank you. Bye,
Thank you.
everybody.